I am Surat, and this is my Safarnama. Cities are considered symbols of the growth of human civilization, infrastructure development, higher standards of living, financial growth, and so forth. Sadly, though these metrics seem noble, neither our cities nor we humans are perfect. In our race to grow, we are fast forgetting our ethics, vernacular knowledge, ways of sustainable living, and mercilessly polluting our cities. But, just like in the stories, every city too has its heroes who protect, love, and nurture them. Our protagonist today is one such hero. Vishal Shah is at a curious intersection of practice that's abundantly rooted in the local ethos and a 2-decade-long teaching career. Poised, measured, and dreamy, he's enjoyed being a bridge his entire life. Between the young and old, rustic and modern, experimental and old wisdom. Although Gopi Talao is his most famous project, his firm has been the force behind the restoration of over 15 lakes in Surat and the designing of several public spaces for the city. Listen to him take us through his experiences of remaining a one-city man, being a professor to his friends, building an architectural vocabulary, the importance of partnerships, of food, travel, movies, life, and most particularly, his love for Surat. Presenting Vishal Shah, narrating his Safarnama.
For, let's say, past 2 decades, almost 20 years, more than 20 years, you have been both into practice and preaching. And your life has been a balancing act between the two. So tell us more about it.
Basically, I would not today would like to call it as preaching, because I think it's more of learning. And practice, the way we look at it, why do we call it a practice, is because we feel that we are improving every time. We are practicing and we are improving on it every time we do the actual work. In fact, it's a fun fact to know that while I was doing my thesis of masters, I was every week doing up-down from Ahmedabad to come and teach a subject to the final year students back at SCET. And I was actually teaching my juniors, my immediate juniors, who were actually my friends. So initially the gap was less, wherein I was also quite young, and now 20 years down the line, the gap has widened, but I think the learning has deepened. So that's where I feel practice and learning has been a very, very integral part of my being.
You must be knowing that a lot of students, call you Vision Shah, they call you Sahib, out of respect and out of love for you. We know you admire your students a lot as well, and they hold a close place in your heart. So what is that one very strong or core value that you always try to imbibe in your students to make them better professionals?
Now, when we talk about what I would like students to do when I am teaching, is to retain their originality, have confidence in what they are doing, and take it further. So I have got some of the most atarangi, if I have to use the word in the right sense, students, whom normally we don't look in the light of a good student, or we would always say that, okay, these are not the regular students, or they have some or the other Issues, yes, that's the right word. But some or the other, how whenever they have landed with me, I have been able to guide them, because they have immense amount of potential. And at times, this in the regular learning process or education system, it is seen as if they are out of the frame, but maybe they have different potential.
Your life has been a balancing act, balancing between academics, that is teaching, and the practice. So how has the journey been?
This is something which kind of defines me in a way, because from very beginning I have been inclined towards teaching, because that was something which was of interest to me. But at the same time, I also wanted to practice what I teach. And because architecture design is, I would say it's more like an applied research or applied education. Another very important thing that I have with me are my collaborators, my partners, who actually are the backbone of my practice. And at the same time, even the institution where I teach is also equally, uh, uh, if you have to use the word, equally responsible, or rather a contributor to the 50-50 things that I am doing.
So, time wise, has there been a situation where the client has demanded more time than you have actually allocated as per your system? Has that happened, and how have you managed that?
The clients also understood that in the morning hours, maybe I will not be available. So, if at all there is some sort of an emergency, or if you say that if this my presence is required, then it was asked for from very beginning. So I used to manage, and I used to get the kind of freedom for attending those kind of meetings, especially when we talk about government projects that we were doing with municipal corporation, wherein maybe we have visits from some very important person like the municipal commissioner, or maybe somebody of high repute is going to come and visit, and they are having a schedule in the morning. Then of course I was available for all those kind of things. For day-to-day working, we had a very well laid out system, and that's how it always helped me in bringing the efficiency.
So 20 years and 12 hours a day for 6 days a week. How does that feel? Does it exhaust you or drain you?
So you'll be glad to know that I can also have a nap in the afternoon in the office. So yes, that's something. And there are birthday cakes which are made, wherein I am portrayed taking a nap in the office. Of course, the balancing with the family also takes place. At times you go home for lunch also. So all the kind of freedoms of being in the city of Surat helps. And I think some or the other how all the sitare kind of came into place to kind of make this happen.
So, let's come to a very important aspect of your life, and that is Gopi Talao. Right? I believe that was a major turning point, if I may call it, or it was a major mission that you accomplished in your lifetime. And I believe a lot of things started happening after Gopi Talao actually fell into place.
As a student of final year of architecture, I was first introduced to Gopi Talao as a site for a design project, academic design project. And it hit me really hard that such a large space lying vacant and unused in the center of a city, which is a very, very dense city. When I was doing my master's, and when I was supposed to select a thesis, which is normally a public project in master's in urban design, so I came back to Gopi Talao. As such, in the early 2000s, there were very less projects that were happening at urban scale. Urban design was still a very, very new discipline, especially for the government bodies. They knew architects and engineers, or maybe at the most planners, but urban design was something which was very, very new to them. We started pursuing this project to the municipal corporation. They were having no intention of doing this kind of a project. For them, it was more of a solid waste dumping ground, and they had a nice place which was near to the city, and they used to, on regular basis, dump waste over there. But then we started pursuing, and there were certain people who were sensitive in the municipal corporation, and they also started looking into the matter. But of course, we are very fresh as architects, as professionals. So giving the project directly was out of question. So they said that, okay, maybe you have a good idea, but we'll have to do a competition if we want to give this project to anyone. We participated into this competition, and then we finally won it because we were much in-depth understanding of the project was there, and we were able to come up with a very interesting design solution. So that was the first step, wherein the acceptability of Surat Municipal Corporation was also one big factor, that they allowed young professionals to get into such a important project. Another thing was about the political scenario around it. Like, nobody was ready to associate themselves to Gopitalau. So for almost 3 years, we were just planning, we were just kind of, coming up with alternatives, designs, and drawings. And it actually came on floor in 2006, 2007. So if you look at the horizon, I started in 2001, and already 5 years down the line, I was just going on the site for the first time. Nobody was ready to even do the groundbreaking ceremony. So one day in the morning, I get a call from the municipal corporation office that since you have been working on this project for so long, we invite you to do the groundbreaking ceremony. And I was like more than happy to do it. But I realized that because there were only 5 people who were called, and it was to be like, a hush hush kind of a ceremony, I was the chief guest. But anyways, I was quite overwhelmed by this whole gesture also, because it was interesting to also see that even the officers who are involved as a part of making of these projects, they also have a sense of belonging to this project. And that I must appreciate throughout the years, almost for 10 to 12 years, the project kind of went on. And I had very interesting interactions with all these officers, and their will to make this project a reality. I always used to get this question a lot, कि यार किसके लिए बना रहे हो? So इतना टाइम लगेगा, किसके लिए बना रहे हो? इसमें क्या फायदा है? So I always used to tell that मैं अपने बच्चों के लिए बना रहा हूँ. So it was just coming out of avoiding the question that okay, and I'm making it for my children. I'm not making it for myself. So ironically, 2015, when I went for the inauguration, I went with my kids to the thing, and that iconic photo is something that I always kind of cherish.
You obviously, benefited by having other projects or similar projects coming into your office. Did that happen, or how did urban design become a major, role in your firm?
Yes, of course, because we start building up our portfolios by these kind of projects. So as a firm, we started getting involved into various other projects. So Gopitalau is one success story which everybody knows, but there are a lot of other stories also, failure stories also, and other not so successful stories also. We have done another 15 lakes in Surat, okay, but they never came out the way Gopitalau came out. In terms of being a public project. Of course, they are also used by people, and they are also good public spaces. But of course, there is always one hero to a story.
How do the dynamics of partnership work? Because your partnership firms are one of the very few successful partnership firms in Surat. So we would like to know, how do this happen? How does the dynamics work?
I realized from the very beginning that I'll require somebody who is ready to take equal responsibility, not someone whom I can employ or keep as a substitute, but someone who is equally owning the firm in terms of work, in terms of ideas, in terms of philosophy. So that's where architect Vishal Desai comes into picture. He was my junior at the institute. We had very good tuning. We had the same name, and that's how we started talking about all these things. And then we thought that, okay, it would be a good combination, because if I am the direction, he is the force. That's how I look at it. And in line of that, in 2004, we also started kind of another firm, which was specifically looking at urban projects, giving back to the city projects. And that's where urban initiatives started getting formulated.
Okay.
And urban initiatives, you will be kind of surprised to know, is a combination of two successful firms like Angan Architects, of course, and Esteem. So at that time, Vishal Shah, Saloni Shah, and we had another partner, Rutul, So 4 of us came together and we said that all of us have some or the other expertise in urban design, urban planning. So let's make a group, let's make a firm which specifically deals with urban projects, with projects related to the city. And on the very first day, we were very clear that we don't want to do this firm for profit purpose. Very interesting to also know that whether other partners in Angan Architects or S team, they never complained about this. And that's where I feel that the synergy, the camaraderie, everything comes in. So these partnership firms, though are kind of legal entities, are primarily bonded with friendship and camaraderie. We have differences, creative differences, but not intention differences. So, I may agree or may not agree with any of my partners on some creative ideas, but I will never disagree on matters related to intention, purpose, or ethics.
You've also been a very integral part of the two institutes, IIA and IID in Surat. You've also served as the chairman of IIA. And do you think that has helped you in, associating with people of this fraternity?
A lot of camaraderie, a lot of respect for other professionals, the opportunity to approach them, whether they are seniors or some very well put and high profile people, through this associations have always been very, very helpful. So in the initial years when we were as young designers encouraged by IIA and IIID Surat, and both of them working together, has always been in our mind as young professionals, as that here we get to know people, here we get to share our ideas, here we get encouragement and at the same time guidance also. And of course, there is a lot of exposure that comes with it. This platform has given us a different or a sharper edge as individuals also. And that's why I feel and I encourage young people to join these kind of associations, because that's where, and don't just join for the sake of getting something out of it. It is always a negotiation, a barter.
Give and take. It's a give and take.
Yes,
yeah.
it is always a give and take. And if you have the readiness to do that, I think you will find amazing results out of it. You will make new friends, you will make new associations. And I think that's where I feel I have been enriched by being an integral part for now almost 15, 16 years with IIA and IIID.
I have had several experiences where, during your lectures or during when we co-work, you have always been quoting various movies, your travel accounts and things like that, while discussing designs or be giving lectures and things like that. So what is it with these movies and travels and things like that?
I think traveling is something which is very, very important, especially for any creative person. Like, it gives you a lot of exposure. It makes you understand about various cultures, places, people. So, of course, it's not about copying, or it's not about just kind of picking something, whether it is clothing, whether it is design, whether it is fashion from a place and just kind of replicate it over here. It's about learning. You can always learn and never copy. So normally whenever we travel, it is always about the place. It is about the food and it is about the people. So, that is something that has always given a lot of inspiration back home when we are working, when we are trying to look at things in a different manner. Whenever I travel, I have a two list. One, places to see, and one, places to eat. And then, these things are kind of in a way related to each other, even including time and everything, what time you should have, what kind of food and where you have to go and all those kind of things. The second part of this is about the movies, and it has been my window to the world in a different sense, especially movies that are having background of cities has always been very dear to me, whether it is Delhi 6 or whether it is a movie called Bruges, which basically talks about a city as a backdrop of whatever is happening and the story is being told. Because city is a melting pot of a lot of things. And I think because of my education as urban designer also, movies gives me a lot of insight into a lot of underlying processes which are there. So especially my master's education, there are a lot of references that I get from these movies, and I share with the students. And I think it is a very, very interactive medium to kind of convey the right message, because people have different reference points.
Right.
Good for me is maybe not good for you. But when you have something to fall back onto, especially visual in nature, which the movies provide, I think it kind of brings us to the same platform.
You speak about this, exposure to cultures and your travels abroad. And however, what I've noticed is that your architectural vocabulary of Angan is very rooted in Indian ethos, and the materials that are used in your practice are very, I would say, very ethnic, or it is very, very close to where we are. Has this been a conscious decision, or have you just fallen back on something that has stopped being, practice? Is that has happened, that has, forced you to take this decision, or what is it?
So basically, in continuation to this whole travel thing, whenever we travel and we see these kind of masterpieces being built, they have a peculiar rooting to that place, and they are culturally also rooted, and that gives them timelessness. So what we try to achieve through our projects is timelessness. We don't want to follow fashion or trends that are happening, because it's not about what's trending. It's it's about what you want, or what you would like to enjoy even for another coming 15, 20 years, and how the spaces that you are going to live in or work in are going to kind of keep on stimulating you on daily basis. The very fundamental idea behind the architectural vocabulary is to be honest to the place that you are in, whether it is culture, whether it is climate, or whether it is the people that you are making it for. And I think that's where this uniqueness of, or whatever ethnicity that comes into the design, or rusticness at times is the word that we also use, that comes into design, is very much inspired by the traditional values and traditional things that... So it's not that we have not moved in time, or we are trying to do something which has got a antique value to it, but it is something in terms of wisdom of traditional architecture we are carrying forward by using contemporary technology and material.
So don't you think that is what sustainability is? Being honest to the place, being honest to the culture, and being honest to the climate. Do you think sustainability is, overhyped, or, wrapped around in a way that it has, got into a fashion, and it has become a trending thing right now for the millennials, of course? So is sustainability something so simple as respecting the place, or is it something beyond that?
It is as simple as respecting the place. Like, we have been, as Indian households, always done sustainability. May it be reusing our clothes, or bartering it for utensils, or kind of using the same clothes for various purposes, or for that matter, even food that we kind of have. So the morning food in the evening kind of becomes a value addition dish, or whatever is left over in the evening the supper on the next day kind of becomes a breakfast. So we had a very little consumerist approach as Indians. Of course, opening up of like liberalization and globalization has brought a very different outlook and culture, and of course, we cannot just stay aloof or into our silos, and we are also going to get affected by that. But I think if we are able to create a balance between what we are in terms of our values and how we can very effectively adopt whatever is coming as new trends or fashion or technology, and if we can create a balance, I think sustainability can be achieved. It's not about rating, it's not about using a certain kind of material. I think sustainability lies in the way you think about a project. From deciding how much square feet a place should be built, whether it has to be built or not at all. And these kind of decisions are also a part of sustainability. Predominantly, if it has to be honest, it has to start as a way of life. So whether you are an architect or you are a client, if it is a way of life, then of course it is going to come out very interestingly into your designs also.
So what is something so special about Surat, its culture, or its growth, or the way it has evolved that hits you hard? And also I would like a follow-up question that how do you see your relationship going further with the city? How would you want to take it further?
I am a one city man.
Yeah.
So, I love to go to different cities to explore things and all. But some or the other how, I always feel that this place from historical times has been a very, very vibrant place. So what I like about Surat is the vibrancy that it beholds. The acceptance that it beholds. We have a lot of debates whenever we have people from different cities. I always, now this is very interesting, I always try to kind of, whenever I am looking at cities, I always try to look them as personalities. Like if I am looking at Lucknow, I am looking at a very poised old man wearing a sherwani. Okay. If I am looking at Ahmedabad, I am looking at a Seth who is like very upright, okay, a little bit miser also, but at the same time, right in his place. Okay, and when I'm looking at Surat, I'm looking at a very young, a very, a youth who is very ready to explore things, to try new things.
Right.
And I think that is something that has always kind of hitched me and has always been with me and have always prompted me to kind of keep doing this renewals for the city. So it never gets old. Okay, we always talk about that there were 84 countries that used to trade with Surat, and it was one of the very important trading destination, and Leo Tolstoy has written about Surat, and there were these it was like a melting pot of a lot of cultures and all. So still it is, okay, and it is one of the most robust cities that we have seen over a period of time. So it has got that metal in it, and I think that is something that kind of in a way compels me, or rather it kind of attracts me in its own right. And I think that's where even in future, if we talk about, so I am going to be in a very deep relationship with my city.
That's good to know. मेरे सफर की अधूरी है कहानियां, हर मोड़ पर जैसे है एक फसाना। मेरे जहन की आवाजों को सुन, कैसे बताऊं तुझे ये सफरनामा। रिश्तों की है मेरी बहुत सी बातें, कुछ अनकहे वादे हैं निभाना। आ पास बैठ, कुछ बातें बताऊं, बड़ा दिलचस्प है ये सफरनामा। ये कहानी है या हकीकत, जरा मुश्किल है ये बताना। मेरे माजी को बयां करता एक एहसास है ये सफरनामा। रेत पर बने वो ख्वाबों के महल, मुश्किल था उसमें घर बसाना। ऐसे आशियाने के परत खोलता, नया किस्सा है ये सफरनामा। अपने कल को याद करता हूँ, आसान नहीं है उसे भुलाना। अपने कल की उम्मीद रखता हूँ, बाकी है अभी सफरनामा, बाकी है अभी सफरनामा।